Okay, it's 9:30 here in Vancouver, so let's begin. And welcome everyone to this webinar on our Master of Geomatics for Environmental Management from the Faculty of Forestry. Really great to see so many of you here. My name is Shane Moore from the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, and thanks for letting us know where you're listening from. I can see we've got people here from Ottawa, Seattle, a few people from Vancouver, Parry Sound, Ontario, Kamloops. I've got someone here from Mississippi. Amazing. So welcome wherever you're listening from. It's really great to have you here today. Thanks so much for joining. Before we dive in and begin, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that we're broadcasting today from the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam. The Musqueam are one of the First Nations of Canada, and it's on their traditional territory that UBC Vancouver is located. We've got a really great session for you today, and we're going to hear from our program director, from faculty members, alumni, and we're also going to cover how to apply to this program as well and give you some really helpful application advice. We want to answer your questions as well. So if you have any questions for us, please put them into the Q&A. I'm going to turn the chat off soon. But you can use the Q&A to post any questions that you have. You can also upvote questions. So if you see a question that somebody else has posted and you want to hear the answer to that one, please upvote, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can today. Just to begin, I do want to just talk a little bit about UBC and also the Faculty of Forestry. UBC Vancouver is one of the top universities globally in terms of its research, and a really amazing place to be a graduate student. We've got a really great graduate student community. So we have over 11,000 graduate students at UBC Vancouver across 12 different faculties. And we have a really wide range of different graduate programs as well. So we actually have over 300 different graduate programs. So the community that you'll be stepping into will be really diverse. Almost 40% of our graduate students are from outside of Canada, from over 150 different countries. So a really diverse community. The Faculty of Forestry is really the best place to study forestry in Canada. There's nowhere else in Canada that's highly ranked in terms of forestry and the research that's happening as our Faculty of Forestry at UBC Vancouver. We have some really great facilities, research forests, and a really great community as well within the faculty. Within the Faculty of Forestry, there's a number of different graduate programs. We have research-based programs as well as some really exciting course-based and professional programs. And it's one of those course-based professional programs that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about our Master of Geomatics for Environmental Management, or as we say, the MGEM program. And to get us started on that, I'm going to pass you over to Dr. Kathleen Coupland to take it from here. Over to you, Kathleen.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Shane, for that introduction to UBC and the Faculty of Forestry. So as Shane indicated, we're here to talk today about the Masters of Geomatics for Environmental Management, or MGEM, because that's just too many syllables to say normally. So MGEM is a 9-month intensive course-based master's, and so students arrive on UBC campus for the end of August when we run our in-depth sort of program introduction and retreat, and then the program wraps up in April with the final assignments and a presentation of the students' capstone project. And so in this picture, we have the MGEMs, our space, which is used only by the MGEM students for the duration of the program, and it's where almost all of the program's classes are held and take place. So you get your sort of own learning environment that's separate and really helps build this cohort dynamic and bond that we get in the program. So next slide. And so the MGEM program starts off by bringing everybody together and making sure that everyone has the same sort of base and introductory knowledge levels. The program provides hands-on training through the use of real-world data and industrial standard or leading programs and analysis techniques. Almost all of the MGEM courses have a structure where we have labs and lectures where students get to apply their learning. We also have some project-based courses where students get to branch out and explore individual topics. Additionally, as much as possible, the teaching team tries to bring in leading industry professionals and MGEM alumni to help enrich the classroom learning environment. So what are you going to learn in the MGEM program? So it is a course-based master's, and all of the learning occurs under sort of our 10 different course codes that we have. However, we do try to coordinate the learning between and across these courses so that there are connections both within the two different terms that the program runs over, where we have classes, and so the courses running in the same term are complementary to the overall learning cycle. So we have a landscape ecology course, which looks at the environmental management side from sort of a higher level, pushes students to think about how to ask questions and theoretical approaches. This course is a blend of technical and theoretical learning styles. We have our GIS courses, one in each term, that start out introductory but accelerate very quickly into advanced. They provide students with a chance to explore a range of GIS tools and technology. We have our remote sensing courses, again, two of them, run by Dr. Nicholas Coops, where students are given the opportunity to work with sort of a plethora of data types while providing the theoretical background. Those courses are also the ones that have our R component embedded within them. We do also have courses that focus more on Python that revolves around geospatial data processing. We have a geospatial statistics course. We have an indigenous knowledge course, as well as a communications course within the program as well. So next slide. So we do try to go out into the field a little bit, but this program is mostly classroom and computer based. But this image is from the retreat at the start of the year where we fly one of the larger drones and do some LiDAR collection. And so if all those courses and the structure of this program sounds appealing to you, you might be starting to wonder, is this the right program for you? And that is what Dr. Nicholas Coops is going to talk about next. So Nicholas, off to you.
Great, thanks Kathleen, and many thanks for you all joining the call today. So MGEM's a program that's been designed to really rapidly advance your skill set in the area of geospatial data science. So we very much designed this program for undergraduate students that have done their undergraduate degree, but then want to do a master's, which is going to give you a very strong skill set in using GIS, remote sensing, statistics, analysis, and coding to then go away and really escalate and accelerate your career. As a result, we don't expect you to have these types of skills in your undergraduate degree. We're actually expecting that you probably come from a broad range of undergraduate experiences like forestry or geography, computer science, engineering, commerce. We've had students from arts. We've had an anthropology student. We've had a whole range of different students come into the program. What they want to do is really get this skill set about how do you apply and use these geospatial data sets in the most appropriate way. And we recognize you probably want to be more than a technician, so there's project management courses, courses about communication, courses about indigenous knowledge to really support your learning, to mean that you can then take those geospatial skills and apply them as a manager through your job. And so some students actually take leave from a position, come and get the master's, then go back. Other students might decide to invest in their education, come and do the master's, and then move forward. So really, in terms of the skill set, we don't have many requirements in terms of what undergraduate course program that you did. We do have some requirements that we need you to have demonstrated to us your quantitative skills, and things like statistics, for example, in your undergraduate degree. But in general, we have a wide range of disciplines coming together to really want to advance their computing and geomatic skills in this area. Next slide, please. And we believe that producing graduates in this area really is a great way for you to get a strong and sustainable job path moving forward. The idea of using geomatics for the environment, understanding how you can use these different geospatial data sets to help in environmental management would fall under this broad umbrella of green jobs. We know that jobs focused on the environment, on conservation, on sustainability and management are really a very hot desired skill set for people looking to get jobs in this area. and we know that this is rising over time. So when the MGEM program was developed almost a decade ago, it was very much developed to provide these skills to allow our students to go away and capitalize on this real market. And I'm pleased to say that every year we hear where our graduates are getting jobs, and many graduates are getting jobs in these green market areas, either working in British Columbia or across Canada, international students returning to their home countries, then working for NGOs, the provincial, federal governments, working for private industry, working for non-profits around how do you use these data sets and analysis tools to really better manage our environment. Next slide, please. So now it's a really good opportunity for me to introduce one of our graduates from the MGEM program, and she can talk to you about her experiences. Sadie Russell is an alumni from the program and graduated last year out of the MGEM program. So it's great to welcome Sadie to this call. And I'll ask her then to talk a bit about her experiences within the MGEM program and what skill set it's given you to then move forward. Sadie, over to you.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I joined MGEM right out of my undergraduate degree. I did an undergrad in environmental science and had maybe taken one, at most two light GIS courses before, so I was familiar with it, but didn't have very much experience. And I was looking to gain specific technical skills that would make me more relevant within a broader environmental workforce. I ended up choosing the MGEM program really for UBC's gold standards reputation, particularly in forestry. And due to the condensed timeline of the MGEM program, that 9-10 month time period felt like the right amount of time for me to gain the skills, but also not sink into a longer graduate program. I really enjoyed my time in MGEM, both the teaching team and my cohort classmates. I learned so much from both of them. We had a wide variety of students from all different backgrounds within the program. And I was able to build a solid foundation in GIS, geospatial analysis, and remote sensing applications, which I'm now able to apply to a variety of different problems. I think the most important skill that I gained was the ability to learn new techniques. So regardless of what the problem or approach I'm trying to figure out is, I now have a broad skill base in order to learn new systems, learn new coding languages, learn new GIS applications, and tackle really a variety of different issues. I liked UBC so much that I've actually stuck around and I'm doing my PhD with Dr. Coops, and I'm also now a TA for the MGEM program, so I'm able to kind of see the continuation and new cohorts coming through. And I just see so often from people I've talked to who've gone in before me and from the new cohort is that it's the community of students that come in every year that really learning from each other, the collaboration with the teaching team has just been a phenomenal learning environment.
Thanks, Sadie. That's really insightful. Thanks so much for sharing your experience. I'm just wondering, I'm guessing you're still in contact and in good contact with your classmates from the program?
Absolutely, yeah. Some lifelong friends for sure.
That's awesome. So if you have any questions for Sadie or for anyone else in the team, let us know. I can see some questions coming in the Q&A, and we'll address those questions shortly in the Q&A section. But now let me pass it over to Lee, who's going to talk about the application process and how you can put together a strong application. Over to you, Lee.
Thank you, Shane. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I won't go over the details too much, but just a high-level overview of the admission requirements for this program. The application is currently open, and the application deadline is February 15th. So we do encourage people to apply early, not to wait till the last minute to upload your application, because there will be a number of documents that are required as part of this application. And as Nicholas mentioned earlier, we accept a bachelor's degree from almost any academic background. The GPA requirement that we're looking for is equivalent to a B+ range. And if it's from a North American school, it's usually looking at your 300 and 400 level courses. If it's an international school, we're looking at the overall GPA of that degree. I can put in the maybe the chat, if it's open later, some links. I can share it so that you can see based on your country what the minimum requirements are. And also, if you go to our website, the admissions webpage, there is a link in there as well that will take you there. There's also an English proficiency test for those who completed a degree from outside of Canada or North America. If English is not the official language from your institution, then we will require that you take a TOEFL or an IELTS. Those are the two most commonly used tests for our students. And the only prerequisite is the proof of statistics, which Nicholas talked about earlier. And the application, so what it entails is the online application from the admissions webpage. We also require that you submit official copies of all transcripts that you've attended from the schools that you've attended. So this is all the colleges or even an exchange program that you did in the summer. We would require an official transcript from that school as well. We also require 3 letters of references, and one of them should be from an academic reference. We talked over the English test already. The committee is also looking for a letter of intent, a CV, and an MGEM questionnaire. So the MGEM questionnaire has a list of questions. It's an opportunity for you to talk about a proposed project or capstone that you may be interested in. Also gives an idea to the committee of what your academic background and skills are. In terms of the CV, this is an important document. It's about 1 to 2 pages, and it just highlights your program, career goals, what kind of experience you may have in the past, and your motivation for pursuing this program. And we hold advising sessions on a weekly basis. So if you have any further questions that are not covered in this webinar, feel free to make an appointment with us, and one of my colleagues or myself would be happy to go over the admissions with you in a little bit more detail. You can also subscribe to our mailing list and learn about upcoming events like an info session like this, or also hear about other info sessions that we have in the Faculty of Forestry. And this concludes the presentation piece, so I'll pass it back to Shane, who will go over the questions that we may have.
Thanks, Lee, and thanks everyone for that great overview of the programme. We've got some questions in, so let's take a look at those now, and do let us know at home any of the questions that are coming up for you. The first question here is from Aisha, who asks, considering the ever-evolving nature of the GIS field, how adaptable is the curriculum to new advancements? Is this programme a promising option for one seeking recent advancements in GIS, or is there perhaps more of a focus on overall fundamentals of GIS?
I can certainly answer that. So, the curriculum is renewed every year. So our faculty members that are teaching in this area of GIS and remote sensing for that matter, are going to be updating the curriculum on new techniques, new approaches, new methods, new outcomes. So of course, there's the fundamentals of GIS, fundamentals of remote sensing that you might cover early in the program, but new advances, and a key advance, obviously we hear a lot about now is AI. The role of AI and where it can come in with GIS and remote sensing is obviously something that we're bringing in to the curriculum and working on that as well. So I would say it's a mixture, but there's certainly a lot of the curriculum's always adapted to cover the new things happening on in the field. Kathleen, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Well, I think that when it comes to GIS, I just sort of wanted to make the statement that we definitely go beyond sort of the ARC and Esri suite of products as well within the program. And so, we try to make sure that all the students are leaving with a very sort of large range of exposure to different GIS technologies and applications. And so I've just, sometimes find when people say GIS, they're thinking about Esri and mapping, but this program is definitely significantly more than that. But we also, do a curriculum review at the end of each year. We take the May, June, July, and really revamp the program for each coming year and cohort, making sure that we're staying on top of technology and advancements. So
it's great. It's great to hear. Thanks both for that. And another question here from Stephanie. Actually, Sadie, this one's for you. Stephanie's just curious what area of study and research you're now pursuing in your PhD.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at drone-based LiDAR for assessing fuel loads near remote communities and doing some operational pyrosilviculture treatments. So very much in the wildfire landscape, but using LiDAR for these applications.
Awesome. I wish I could really comprehend your research topic there, but that sounds really, really amazing. Thank you. There's a quick question here from Florence. They're, a student in Zambia at the moment, just interested to know about scholarships. Could we talk just generally about scholarships for this program? I mean, I think the nature of this program is that it's short. It's built to sort of return to industry quickly. So I don't think there's many scholarships, but could anyone just speak briefly on the scholarship topic?
Sure, I can take this one, Shane. So this is a student-funded program. Unfortunately, there are not that many entrance scholarships. There is one that's the graduate Indigenous scholarship, and the information is on our funding page. If you are also applying from a country in Africa, there is a MasterCard Foundation scholarship that we also help coordinate and administer with the MasterCard office. I'll put the link in the chat. That scholarship is already closed. So if you haven't applied to the MasterCard Foundation for this year, you could apply for next year. But generally, this program is student funded.
That's great. Thanks, Lee. Next question from Stephanie, asking, is on-campus housing available for MGEM students? I'm happy to just start off on this one. So there is housing available for graduate students on campus, but it's in very high demand. So we'd recommend that if you're interested in living on campus, that you should apply early for housing through the UBC housing website. You can actually apply for housing on campus even before you submit your grad school application. So you could apply for housing early, but it is quite competitive. It is quite difficult to get housing on campus. So apply early, but also I would just really consider other options as well. There's some really great housing available on campus that's not run by UBC Housing, as well as other housing options near campus as well. Did anyone else want to speak briefly on housing, or is that okay? Okay, great. Megan asks, how is machine learning both conceptually, ethically, and practically incorporated into the program?
Nicholas, do you want to take this one?
I can take it first. I think machine learning, these types of more advanced computer algorithms are certainly being used more in geomatics. There's no question about that. And so I think many of the courses within MGEM will be touching on the role that these technologies can play. Certainly remote sensing, for example, we talk about machine learning classification algorithms. We talk about machine learning tools and approaches that you can use in terms of analyzing your data. So I think there's examples given of that, and students are encouraged to sort of use that through the assignments that they do. It's the same in GIS, especially in the second GIS course, which is the more advanced one. I know Professor Paul Packel touches on a wide variety of different analysis approaches, and deep learning and AI comes into that as well. Students do a small research project. It's not really a capstone. I wouldn't refer to it as a capstone project, but they do a research application project. And I'll get Kathleen to talk about a few examples of those. But students essentially are paired with a mentor, both a topical mentor in terms of what topic you might work on, and technical mentors to help you go away and do it. And you're allowed to go away and explore your own mini project. And you use geospatial data in order to do that. And so students obviously very interested in machine learning might choose to go away and do their project in that area. Get some data, find an analysis approach, and then go away and apply that analysis, machine learning type approaches to that data set. So that would be a way, if you were interested in particular aspects of machine learning that you could apply it to the data and demonstrate that through a project. We've got a wide range of projects that students work on throughout the program. There's a particular course that's designed to help shepherd students through those projects. They can be locally done, so they can be projects based at UBC, geospatial projects based in Vancouver, but they could also be from your home country, from your current employer. Maybe they've got a small project you can go and work on. You're welcome to also bring your project to that MGEM class and apply on that during the time. Kathleen, did you perhaps just want to touch on some current examples that students are working on for their projects this year?
Yeah, I just pulled up a list of the projects. And so, as Nicholas said, we've worked with a bunch of different partners. So we have some UBC-led projects. We have Frontera Forestry. We have BC Ministry of Forests, David Suzuki Foundation, Canadian Forest Services, the Range Branch of the Ministry of Forests. So we have, just to name some, so we have a large sort of list of mentors that we work with. And so some of the projects that we have going is, I'll just read off some of the titles here. We have sort of understanding drivers of wildfire threat across British Columbia. We have integration of remote sensing into forest health aerial surveys. One project looking at mapping of lawns and urban habitats, thinking about its use for wildlife. Biodiversity of Cable Bay in British Columbia. One looking at individual tree segmentation of ALS data. So a very large range of different projects and the scope. We also do have some students who have come in with their own project, as Nicholas has said. So these would be people who have what we call a topical mentor, so someone who is helping guide the vision of the project. And then the students will come in and sort of have the data already from this person, and it's really like a student-led project topic. And we are also encouraging that within the boundaries of what this course offers. And yeah, so I called it the capstone, so that was my fault. But it is, it's a research project that sits within one of the courses within the program. So there's no formal dissertation at the end of the program, but you do leave the program with a sort of comprehensive report that you have written up where you've met the topical mentors' sort of expectations on deliverables, and you have a poster. You do a poster presentation at the end of the year, but no formal dissertation, the same way that would occur within a research-based master's.
But some really great practical project experience to take away and talk about in job interviews or when you're looking at your career moving forward. That's great. And that was Mike's question as well. Is there a required dissertation? So no required dissertation, but there would be a project to work on towards the end of the program. Next question from Ethan. If we are trying to secure a job in the GIS industry in Canada, is this program or UBC in general a target school for certain companies in the industry? What are examples of some companies that have hired alumni from this program?
I can jump in there. So we have a number of companies that are continually coming back to us year after year and asking for new graduates. So I think we are seen, certainly in Western Canada, as a key producer of graduates, of master's students with skill sets in these areas. So I do think that there is certainly knowledge of the program throughout British Columbia and Western Canada, and people look to UBC to find graduates for that. One such company is TRE, which is an Italian geospace company that has employed graduates from MGEM to help look at interferometric radar data and how that can be applied for different projects. The province continually employs MGEM graduates to help with their ongoing management of resources within the province. So yeah, there'll be a few repeat employers. Environment and Climate Change Canada, Natural Resources Canada, Pacific Forestry Centre, which is based in Victoria, the federal government, they've employed many MGEM graduates over the years. So yeah, I think there's repeat employers, and I think it's quite often that Kathleen and myself and other faculty members do get emails throughout the year asking for who are the best graduates who you've got, and do you think they'd be interested in applying for this particular job. It's worth noting that Kathleen runs a MGEM jobs board, so whenever we do get those emails, we post them only to the MGEM students to let them know of job opportunities that we hear about, and that's also become quite a significant resource to help people go and find employment.
And may I ask, Dr. Coops, how many people would typically be in one cohort of the MGEM?
Yep, so we have the program is capped at around 38 people. So that's sort of the size of the cohort.
That's great. So this isn't like isn't a big program. So as these opportunities come through, it's easy. It's going to be easy for you to network and connect with those opportunities through the job board, through the alumni network. That's really great. And this next question from Nanette really sort of leads on from that. Is there a co-op program, and do we offer job placement assistance for students? Kathleen, maybe you could talk a little bit more about the jobs board and how that works.
Yeah, so first of all, we don't do a co-op program, but we do, the students will be working with a mentor for within the 599 course. So there is opportunity to sort of interface with external partners within that. And one of the things that I do in the program is I bring in companies and alumni to speak to the program and to help build that, Geomatics network. In addition to that, we also host a career conversations event every spring where we bring in local geospatial companies and representatives to talk about the work that they're doing. And part of that is an informal conversation where students really get to talk to companies and start to build those connections. And so, every year we've had some representatives from Esri come. We've had TRE Altamira, as Nicholas mentioned, that company already. And so we have people who come specifically to that event and to start building that network. We don't do a formal job placement assistant program, but what we do in the program is, I also host a resume and cover letter workshop. I'll work with students one-on-one to make sure that the documents that they're submitting are of, incredibly high quality caliber and highlighting the information that they should be highlighting. I've done interview workshops in the past. And so the idea is that we provide students with this, in addition to a suite of geomatics tools, there is this sort of career support that is embedded throughout the program. One other thing we do is we have the students develop a e-portfolio so they can highlight the work that they've done. That's been, very instrumental more recently in having students sort of getting them into the job market. So there's no formal co-op or job placement assistance, but we do support our students in the job search process. And I will say that, I stay in contact with a lot of the students post-program. That's how jobs sort of get sent to me or Nicholas sometimes. But also, that support doesn't just end when the program ends. Once an MGEM student, always an MGEM student is sort of what I like to say.
That's really excellent, yeah, and really great to hear about all of those activities that are happening to support students. That's really great. I was wondering, Sadie, if you wanted to jump in here. I know you've gone more of the academic route now, but how was the experience for you, or did you see colleagues and friends from the program find jobs after the program quite quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the career fair and the conversations and all the prep that's done towards the end of the program are really key in building this portfolio and building this job sort of market ready presentation. I do have friends that have, from my cohort, who have gone into geological surveying, so within the mining industry, a couple in forest consultation companies, one at the UN in a sort of an international nonprofit sense, City of Vancouver, So really a large variety of different applications and different industries that my colleagues have gone through. A few even had jobs lined up before the program had ended. So they were looking for jobs in sort of January, February, just as we were ramping up the second semester. So throughout the program, throughout the year, we have guest speakers come in from industry, and these connections are also really good to foster. So you can keep in contact with some of these guest lecturers, guest speakers, and see if you're interested in the work they do, you can keep in contact with them and build that network. And if they've got a job coming up in the future, you know the skills, you know that you're really interested in, you've met them face to face and are able to tailor your resume to those jobs. So definitely have classmates out working in the field through the connections that they built within the program.
Awesome. Thanks, Sadie. That's great. Lee, I know you wanted to answer the question here from Vania, who asks, have there been any issues with delayed study permits?
There are times when students may not get their study permit in time to start end of August. So our program starts July on paper, and that's when the registration happens on the back end. So you'll receive emails to register for your program in July, but we don't require students to be here until end of August. So the delay of the study permit is not that common, actually. Yes, last year we had a very good success. So I would just encourage people to apply early. So when we send out your offer letter and you decide to accept, apply for your study permit as soon as you can if you're from an international country. The processing waiting time can vary depending on where you're applying from. There is a webpage on the IRCC. I could share a link there, and you could put in your country where you're applying from, and they'll give you an estimated timeline of if it's going to take 4 weeks or longer to get the study permit.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, key thing there is just apply early. It's different for each country in terms of how long it takes for study permits to be issued. But generally, we're not seeing any big problems. And there has also been a change as well in that in last year, there was a step whereby you needed to get something called a provincial attestation letter, which came from the province. But for graduate students now, you no longer need that. So you should be able to just apply more smoothly and get your study permit. It should be a pretty straightforward process, but it helps to apply early for sure. And Ethan's asking if this program is qualified for the BC Provincial Nominee Program. If you graduate from a master's program, then I do believe you would qualify for that. There are other pathways as well through to permanent residency and to be able to stay and live in BC and in Canada longer. It's difficult for us to talk about immigration, like we can't give him immigration advice, but certainly doing a graduate degree in Canada is there will be opportunities for you to work in Canada afterwards. You'd be qualified for a work visa and stay longer. But it's hard for us to kind of go into detail on those things. But maybe we could put the link through to our international office. I'll do that shortly. They have some good advice and tips around postgraduate work visas. Okay. Let's see, any other questions? A question from Edward here. Dr. Coops, you mentioned earlier that we get people from a wide range of different academic backgrounds. Is it recommended or required to have any prior work or volunteer experience related to geomatics before applying to the program?
So it's not required. As I indicated, we take a broad range of applications and a broad range of students that enter the program. We do ask you to provide like a short statement about why you'd like to enter the program, why you believe geomatics is a appropriate area for you to move into, and certainly you talking about your past experiences, how come you know about the data, why you're interested in using these types of data sets. Certainly a strong and enthusiastic cover letter or statement of interest is certainly seen upon very favourably when we review the applications. So by you talking perhaps about your experience in using the data or seeing others use the data, or your understanding of how the data might help solve some of those environmental problems that you're interested in, that would be good to put in that letter. Any volunteer experience is beneficial for grad school because it shows that you've got a drive and determination and grit and enthusiasm to go and do these types of things. So I think anyone who has prior work or volunteer experience should call on that when they do write their applications, to really just give us this, it's more than just the grades that you bring when we decide who to bring into the program. It's this sort of broader context of yourself and why you're interested in undertaking this program. So the more we get to know about you in your statement of interest, and the more things that you can pull on from your background, like your work experience, your undergraduate degree, your prior experiences, your volunteering, all of that would certainly help us get to know you better and ultimately get accepted into the program.
And Dr. Coops, how about the references? You must look pretty closely at references as well. Is there anything you look for when you're reading candidates' references?
Yeah, absolutely. So reference letters are another critical thing that we look at. Your grades, your letter or your statement of interest, and then your reference letters. So, we try to encourage your referees to write letters that talk to your strengths about you specifically. Sometimes we can get very generic reference letters that don't really talk about the person in detail in terms of the strengths that you would bring to the program and your past experiences. So encouraging your referees to write about you specifically, particular examples, demonstrations of areas where you've worked well, experience they've had working with you one-on-one. Those types of letters are certainly stronger because it's clear then that strong relationship that you've had with that reviewer, and we can then take their comments seriously about what you would be like as a scholar as part of that cohort, and how we believe you would succeed in the program. Kathleen, you do much of the initial reviewing of the reference letters. What else would you say would be some key things we like to see in those letters?
Yeah, I think the more personal a reference letter can be, that's always nice to see, that the person who is writing the letter sort of knows you. I know sometimes it can be a challenge to get 3 letters of reference that are very in-depth and personal. So even if there's just, having 1 or 2 that is more personal. I will say for the application process, we do look at the applications in what I would say is like a holistic way. So we don't necessarily weight grades more than the letter of intent, more than the reference letter, more than what you've written on the MGEM specific application. We try to look at that collectively, recognizing that, individuals are complex beings, and we try and make sure that we're getting the right people for this program coming in. So I would say if you are thinking about putting in an application, to spend time on all the different parts of the application components, because we do look at them all and we try to sort of get a sense of who you are as a person. And the application and the letter of intent is an area where you can be, you can make it more personalized to you. And I think that the expression of self within that is quite important.
Great advice. Yeah, no, and we can see your grades very quickly, but we spend most time really trying to understand you as a candidate by reading your statement of interest, hearing from your references. Like, those things are so important. Sadie, if I may, do you remember doing your MGEM application? Have you got any tips you'd like to share?
Yeah, I got a few of my undergraduate profs to write a letter. And then also, I believe I had someone who I did a sort of like a volunteer co-op experience with. So I think having a little bit of variety of people who see you in different settings or lights is really useful. I made sure to get those letter references out early. Everyone's so busy making sure you're giving your references enough time to write a detailed letter, and having conversations with them to what you'd like to see and about the program specifically, as long as they know what they're writing it for. Taking time to really think about it, your personal statement, your letter of intent of why you want to be doing this program is really important. the variety of skill, like computer science or geomatics skill level coming to the program is, some people with no experience, some people with lots of experience. And so it's more about why you think this program is right for you and what it's going to build into your career, into your future trajectory. So taking the time to think about that, but why this program is a good fit, I think is really important. Yeah, I think that's what I would suggest. Just getting those references letters to them very early.
Yeah, super helpful. Yeah, great advice. And yeah, knowing why you're applying to the program and what you want to get from it is super important. Lee, I'm just wondering, could you talk a little bit about the process of references in terms of the referee deadline, and what that looks like in the system?
Sure. So the deadline for application is February 15th, midnight, Vancouver Pacific time. However, we do give the referees another 10 days, a buffer to get the reference letters in. And generally, we encourage that you use organizational emails and institutional email addresses for them so that they can upload their letters directly to the application portal. So you'll be asked to provide 3 references. Avoid using their personal email address because the system will not accept letters from personal like Yahoo and Gmail accounts. And if they cannot upload the letter, they can email me a copy, but they were still required to mail in a hard copy letter to our office in order to be considered an official letter of reference. So best to do it electronically, it's faster, and the deadline for letters are February 25th.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Lee. That's great. So we just got 10 minutes or so remaining. So any other questions that you've got, don't hesitate, let us know. Now's the time to type your question into the Q&A if you have anything else. I know Florence is interested in knowing about if we help international students finding internships. So there isn't an internship as part of the program, but certainly, in terms of of us supporting you in finding your next step and finding a job, there would be no difference in terms of applying for jobs here alongside Canadians. I'm just wondering, Kathleen, do you get international postings, or do some students return to their home country to find their next step, to find their next job?
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that we don't offer international students anything that we wouldn't offer domestic or local students. That just feels very unequitable. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that internships are an interesting thing in Canada, and that unpaid internships are illegal in Canada. So just the word internship is a little fraught in some places in Canada. But so in terms of, Canada, we have a strong ethic and moral that if you are doing work for a company, you should be getting paid for that work. But there's no formal internship program. We do have students often, or some go back to their home country, some stay within Canada. The jobs board, we don't limit the search to any location. However, due to some language barriers, I can't always find job postings that are in other international locations just because I only speak English. But if there is someone who's specifically interested in jobs in certain locations, we can try and make sure that we find those and are pulling those to put onto our jobs board. But I would like to say that, part of my role as the coordinator is to offer help and support for students who are looking for the jobs and looking for work after the program. And so, that's part of my role. That's part of what I do, making sure that students leave the program with a good sort of suite of tools and ready to start their application processes. But I provide that to all students equally. That's brilliant.
It's really great to hear how much support and how prepped students are. And it's really, it's up to you as well. If there's great opportunities here to network and to work on your resume, do interview prep, all of those things you can do during the program, so that you can make that next step really smoothly after you graduate. So I hope that was helpful, Florence. Question here from Mike. Do we recommend any prep courses for the program? Anything people need to do beforehand?
So I can address this question. So no, not specifically. We do at the start of the program, we have So in July, we do have a course that goes live that has a bunch of prep material that, it goes over some. There's access to some R or coding resources. There's access to some stats resources. There is a Jedi module. There's an Indigenous knowledge module. And we sort of provide that structure for students who to make sure that when everyone arrives in August, that we all sort of have the same base on a certain number of key topics. We don't make everyone do every module because some people have extensive backgrounds in some of these topic areas. And so we do it based off of on a sort of self-declaration system where people can reach out to me and say, hey, this is my experience in this topic, and I will exempt people from completing certain modules. So we try to provide you with everything that you need coming into the program.
Awesome. Sounds great. So I think we've answered all the questions. We're going to stay around for a few more minutes. So any final questions, do let us know. Maybe while we wait to see if any other questions come in, Sadie, maybe I can put you on the spot again and ask you another question. What was your favorite part of the program, most memorable experience from the MGEM?
I think the retreat at the start of the program is obviously a very memorable experience. It's your first time really with all your colleagues, and you go to the Malcolm Knapp's Research Forest for 4 days, I believe, and you have your lectures there, and you're able to see some of the drone demos and try your hand at some field measurements. And I think it's a great opportunity to sort of have a crash course on forestry, but also get to know your classmates, and a great learning experience, great bonding experience. So very, very fun time. From coursework, I really enjoyed the research project, sort of this 599 project, where I got to apply what I was learning in different classes to something that I was particularly interested in. So being able to do that and kind of having that agency over your own little project throughout the year, and take it, with help from mentors and teaching team, but be able to take in the direction that you're really interested in. I think it's a great chance to apply what you're learning to something hands-on. Probably those are my two favorite components of the MGEM program.
And you obviously like the research. You've obviously the taste of research has obviously led to now being a doctoral student. That's amazing. That's really great. Lee, I know we've got a question here from Edward. I'll just read it out, but if you're able to answer this one, that would be great. Edward just says, could we clarify the grades, how grades are weighted for the MGEM admissions? Is it based primarily on 300 and 400 level coursework or the full academic record?
Yes, thanks, Shane. So if your transcript is from a school in Canada or US, we're looking at 300 and 400 level courses, so your senior level courses, and we're looking at a B+, and so that's about 76% or 3.3 out of 4 point scale. If it's an international school, we're looking at the overall degree, so it's not just the senior levels, but the entire degree. We'll take the GPA average of all the courses you've taken for your 4-year degree.
Great, thanks, Lee. That's excellent. That's great news. Okay, so we're just towards the end of the hour now. Thanks for all of the questions, everyone. It's been great to hear from you. Really great questions. Maybe I can pass it over to Dr. Coops and Dr. Coupland. Have you got any sort of final messages or final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone very much for joining the call, and some really good questions there. So I'm really glad you're thinking about the right things. So that's great. It's an exciting program. We're loving this year's cohort. They're going very well. And I hope we see you in next year's cohort. So thank you very much for your time. Kathleen.
Yeah. So I just dropped my email into the chat. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free to, send me an email if you have some general questions. And I'm excited to see hopefully some of these names pop up in applications. I think it's important, and we always strive to make sure we get the right people in the right seats for this program. And every year we have a different group of students. They bring a different flavor to the program. And, it's been really nice to see the questions that you guys are posting and what you're sort of thinking about with respect to your application to the program. And I think there's been some really great questions. So thank you for those.
Great, thank you. So we'll wrap things up for today. Next steps you can see on the screen. You can book an advising appointment if you wish. If you've got more questions, check out the website, join the mailing list. And I just want to say a really big thank you to the panel today for delivering such a great session. Thanks so much for your time. And also Sonia behind the scenes for organising this session. I'm going to close the webinar now, so it's going to end quite suddenly, unfortunately. But thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck with your applications, and we'll hopefully see you at UBC Vancouver soon. Thanks everyone. Bye for now.